Joining me now, another 2020 contender and author of a new book, A Politics of Love. One of my favorite subjects. You know, I believe if we gave just a little bit more love, it would go a whole long way. Marianne Williamson. Marianne, welcome. Congratulations on your new book.
Thank you.
Congratulations on deciding to run, but let's be honest, the odds are not in your favor. You do not have political experience. Why do you think you could do the job?
Well, first of all, Trump's president, isn't he?
He is.
So this idea of saying who's probable or what can happen, I think that our most recent history has proven that the American people are looking for whatever the American people are looking for, and not necessarily towing the line with what a kind of establishment tells us is what's predictable or what's likely to happen. You know, so much of your programming in the last hour has spoken about what's really happening, and it's not necessarily who's running and what's happening in South Bend. It has to do with starting with the Harvard poll that talks about people's anxiety, that talks about people's sense that the country is morally off. It has to do with the fact that Boeing is putting sales before the highest level of ethical standards, security standards. It has to do with things like the fact that drug manufacturers and pharmaceutical companies are starting to be held accountable for the fact that they are knowingly overselling and overprescribing drugs and over-manufacturing, et cetera. There is a moral and an ethical erosion. It has to do with the fact that Giuliani would say what he's saying. Like it doesn't matter if with this administration, if they lie, if they talk that it's okay that Russia helps them as long as it helps them make the sale. We have allowed a sales mentality. Get the sale, to completely erode the soul and the ethics and the character of this country. That is a political factor. The fact that the Republicans were so gobsmacked by Trump to begin with, the fact that the Democrats were so gobsmacked by Bernie, speaks to the fact that the political establishment did not recognize the anxiety, did not recognize the internal factors that were going on inside people that do drive politics. So I'm talking about the politics that's underneath. It's the movement of the plates, the tectonic plates that do end up with political consequences. So the horse race is nice and it's entertaining and it's theater, but it's not necessarily what's deeply going on, and it doesn't necessarily predict what will be going on in the next 2 years.
And you say that love is the answer. Politics of Love is a handbook for a new revolution. All that you've outlined just then, I mean, even calling capitalism into question.
No,
these are crises.
I'm for capitalism with a conscience. So when you say calling capitalism into question, I don't call it into question any more than Ray Dalio or Jeremy Grantham, some of the main capitalist leaders. You yourself have talked about economics, but how capitalism needs to have an ethical center. So that's not calling into question the inherent dynamic there.
But how do we correct all of this with love? Love is an amazing idea, an incredible sentiment. But if you said that to people who are suffering in this country, do they believe love is the answer?
Yeah, and I have a 35-year career helping people transform from trauma to transformation. First of all, on a political field, are we going to say that hatred has not been operationalized? What do you call ISIS if not hatred turned into a political force? What do you call racism? What do you call Nazis? What do you call these people marching through the streets of Charlottesville saying, Jews shall not replace us? This is bigotry, racism, anti-Semitism turned into a political force. We can also turn love, and just love has attributes, just like hatred does, like justice, mass incarceration. That is a lack of love turned into a political force. Economic injustice, where through tax policies and corporate subsidies, we systematically remove the major parts of the public treasury into the hands of a very few people. That is the absence of love operationalized. Helping the children. I want to have a Department of Children and Youth because of the millions of American children who live in chronic trauma. That's love operationalized. We must wage peace around the world, not just prepare for war. Expand economic opportunities for women, expand educational opportunities for children, diminish human suffering wherever possible. That is love operationalized. Love has an operationalized strategic policy component every bit as much as fear does and greed does and amoral economic and political behavior does.
Love operationalized. That is clearly why USA Today has outlined you as a standout for 2020. Please, please come back anytime.
Thank you.
Love operationalized. Let's make love the answer. Marianne Williamson.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.